Hey everybody, I am taking a look at this new moon in Scorpio happening on the 20th, and that'll be at about 10:49 p.m. PST. So this is going to be a very interesting new moon because it opposes Uranus. Venus is also in Scorpio, which is an intense energy. Venus is not in its strength in Scorpio, so there's intensity here. Now, don't forget, Scorpio is always a very intense energy. Scorpio is the energy of transformative period. And it's basically a month where the light enters the deepest chambers of our subconscious, revealing truths we avoided, healing wounds we've carried secretly, silently, and awakening the hidden strength in us. It is the sign of death and rebirth. This new moon is going to be a rebirth, because it's a new moon, of something that has died in our lives, something that was over. It's at the end degrees. It's the end of the journey and the beginning of a new journey in our Scorpio house. So I'm going to go through all the 12 signs. Now, like I say, this new moon opposes Uranus, which brings a out of the blue, unpredictable, shocking surprise. In the mainstream media or in the world, in the mass collective, we're going to see more surprising information, hidden truth, perhaps around sexual corruption because of the fact that it's Scorpio new moon, and Scorpio always reveals hidden secrets, especially at the end degree point where there is a buildup energy, and we do have Mercury in retrograde very close to this new moon. Actually, sorry, on this new moon. So there is going to be revelatory secrets revealed, truths revealed in our own personal lives and in the big collective. Now, these reveals are surprising, shocking, and Venus is making a trine to the nodes, which are currently where the eclipse is, at the same degree of the eclipse in September 7th, the Virgo eclipse. So there is a big sudden shift and change in our life. Like all of a sudden, this big shift occurs, and it involves letting something go, releasing an old life, old beliefs, seeing things in a completely different way because of the Mercury retrograde opposing Uranus, like shocking information that changes something big in our lives. And again, with this being a positive transition from the Venus to the North Node, we're seeing a progression forward on our Dharma, and we're spiritually relieved of something. We're there's a relief here. So this is good news for most. It sets us free. It liberates us. Water sign energy is liberating that's the trine of moksha, which means spiritual liberation. So whatever is revealed liberates us to go forward on our dharma more, puts us more in alignment. We see a truth. Scorpio is always going to be about a truth. It's the occult, the unseen, the hidden, that is there, that we sense, but that we don't. It's basically the Scorpio is the deepest chambers of our subconscious, and it reveals truths that we've avoided. So, and it silently wakens hidden strength in us. I already said that. These are my notes. Um, this is a rebirth again. It's a rising from the ashes. That's what this is. It's a transformative new moon where we've transformed something deep within us by facing it with this Mercury retrograde. Uranus, we're facing something deep, a truth, a hidden, and that is liberating. So let's go through all the 12 sounds now. Oh, I don't want to rush the fact that there is this new beginning because of that. So I'm gonna focus on the new beginnings here. There is something dying that we're releasing in that house too. And a lot of times we have subconscious attach. We don't understand why we're having attachments to certain things that are fear-based, and our subconscious is causing that. So now we're releasing some sort of fear-based attachment. enabling us to be pure. It purifies us so that we can make a new beginning from a more pure, less fear-based energy. So for Aries, this is happening in your eighth house because Scorpio is the eighth sign of the zodiac, and that for Aries is going to hit in your eighth house. Aries is the one sign where all the planets, all the signs align with their true houses. So we're going to get a big transformative experience for you. Now, this is a new beginning, perhaps in an intimate relationship. This is a relationship house. The eighth house is about the hidden, the private room sex, intimacy. So there could be some sort of passionate explosion of passion that ignites your bedroom life. Even if you're in your marriage, it could just light up. Or you discover tantric sex and you explore a beautiful spiritual experience with your divine partner. It's really only works with divine partnerships, but it can be, you could be married to that person, or you could have been in a long-term relationship, or this could be a new experience because we're looking at the new moon. Maybe you meet your person here. Now, or this can be around finances, money. You have a new financial investment opportunity. Either you're given money to do that with through a windfall of some sort, like a outside source comes to you, like it can be from an inheritance, um, a tax return. Um, I don't know if that's necessarily a lottery winning house, but it is a house of loss or sudden gains. I've had sudden gains with planets transiting my eighth house, and I've had losses with planets transiting there. So it could come with a loss because it is a new moon where we are having a death and rebirth. So it could also be the loss of a debt or um, a fear-based situation. You could also be transforming a deep fear around your financial security, and this new moon transforms that fear, and you now feel very stable because it is Uranus is at the end degree point of Taurus, which is trying to stabilize us financially. It's come back into Uranus to give us a new stabilized life or to restabilize something in our finances. Uranus and Taurus that's what it's been doing for us in the last 8 years when Uranus moved into Taurus in 2018, May 15th. So the new beginnings would involve new financial joint with a partner, co-collaborating joint resources in order to take forward some sort of project because Saturn is going to move into your first house where you're going to start getting very, very serious about devoting yourself to something and starting a new 29-year cycle, a new identity for you all around, basically. And so this new moon, the ruler of this new moon is Mars. Mars is fired up in your ninth house in the sign of, I know this is off here because I can't get the hours on this site to match up. I'll lose the new moon. See if I go here an hour. If I go back an hour there, that lines it up, but now I'm not. I am not. Let's do it this way. There we go. I'm not exact on the new moon, but that's all right. Anyway, so yeah, Mars is in your ninth house, so there's potential. So this new moon is ruled by Mars in your ninth house, inspiring you, very spiritually inspired and motivated and driven to either travel, explore higher consciousness, new beginnings in the occult. Spirituality, because our grand water trine is hitting your 12th house. So widening your perspective, wanting to know more about the esoteric realm, the unseen world, wanting to advance your knowledge, awaken you. It's very awakening energy for Aries. Wanting to open up your perspective about life and the world. This is a very nice trine to your 12th and your 8th. You conquest a big fear of stability in your life. Anyway, I could go on, but this new moon looks really good for you, Aries. Have a wonderful, wonderful new moon. All right, moving on to Taurus. So Taurus, this new moon is going to be in your seventh house, where I think now it's opposing Uranus in your first. So if you are not with your true divine mate, this is a transit that could suddenly, shockingly put you in the meeting of your divine counterpart with that Venus sextiling, trining the nose in your 11th house online. They contact you, sudden surprise, Uranus. Uranus is the online media, or just out of the blue surprise, run in contact with Mercury there, conjoining someone from the past, relationship from the past, sudden information or knowledge or communication coming through, connection, contact, reach out, beautifully shifting your life suddenly towards a dharmic soul mission to serve humanity. Beautiful, beautiful for Scorpio, I mean for Taurus. Um, Venus in your seventh house is a challenging Venus, but again, it's intense. It could be very passionate. Mars is ruling these energies, and it's in Sagittarius, which is firing it all up even more, making it more passionate, more sexually sort of charged energies for sure for Taurus here. If you're in your connection already, it's just a reignition of your sex life or your intimacy. Perhaps you explore tantric sex because this is a very spiritual water grand trine where we're becoming spiritually liberated through these new moons. This is a new moon where we have new beginnings from a spiritually liberated version of ourselves. So, a new relationship coming in because you've been transformed, the new version of you, death and rebirth of who you are, showing up in a relationship as your full empowered self. However, there is intensity involved and perhaps triggering because Venus is in its sensitive house, sensitive sign of Scorpio. So now for Gemini, this new moon in your sixth house. So again, a surprising shock and change and sudden turnaround and shifts with Uranus in your 12th. Perhaps you suddenly travel. You hear from a past. It's going to be a true Venus there. See, it's even if it's in your sixth house and it's not a relationship house, but Scorpio, you've got Mars in your seventh ruling this. So I would say that there is a contact from an intense, true, sort of spiritual relationship because we've got Mercury there and you are in service. This is a work connected, soul contracted. Again, it could just be a partnership if you're already married and there's a past life connection coming in that is for your part of your Dharma. This is all going to align us with our Dharma. It liberates us so that we can walk boldly into our Dharma from some sort of transformation that needs to occur in our psyche. So now we're transformed and we're boldly going forward towards our true career, our spiritual calling career. This new moon liberates us from some sort of either disease and illness. We become we become death and rebirth in our health, and we become healthy enough to take on a nice, bold project, a new beginning in our health, a new routine that really works for us, or we initiate a new project involving a service-oriented project with a divine mate of some sort or a soul contracted partner. New beginnings there. So for Cancer, this is hitting in your fifth house. So that's really looking like a new relationship coming in, ending of an old pattern in a relationship or ending old friendships can go away in a new moon, but sun surprising, reach out, communication from a past connection. So sun surprising now, this does bring you another layer of stability in your finances. This new beginning brings you a new stability. You've got the nose and Saturn in your ninth house. This actually happened to me already. I went out to an event, I'm Cancer rising. I went out to an event last night and we all talked about me starting some classes, teaching. Now the fifth house is teaching, the ninth house is also teaching. The 11th house is astrology, and I'm going to teach astrology. So we were talking about a plan, and it is an idea that has been floated around. I have taught it before. So I've suddenly just, I've come into clarity about how I want to teach different from my own way, but it's still based on the real way. I mean, it's just an evolved way of mine. So anyway, I'll post information about that soon. But Venus in your fifth house does bring intense connections from the past, perhaps intimacy. Scorpio is always going to have that energy to it, and Mars in your sixth house activates your house of health and call to duty, call of service, which is actually the energy I feel that I want to have behind my classes. I do feel a call to be of service, to help raise consciousness, Sagittarius, to follow your Dharma, Do what God created us to do. Step into it boldly, energy of Sagittarius with faith. Faith, walking in faith opens doors that you never knew were there. I just made that note the other day. When you walk in faith, oh yeah, destiny opens doors you never wait, destiny opens doors you never imagined. Yeah, that's it. All right. All right, Sagittarius. I mean, sorry, Cancer. So a new beginning in a relationship, new connection. Trines you, puts you in your dharma, new friends, new groups. That's exactly what happened to me last night. I met a new group of friends that we all decided we talked. I've known them before. These aren't new. I mean, but it's a new level of our friendship has raised up a level. And this is about teaching and also there is potential new beginnings of new friendships that are part of our dharma that liberate us in some way. The fifth house is teaching, it's entrepreneurial, it's the stage, it's performing, creative projects, having children. You could have child. Cancers can discover that their mates are having children, or I'm sorry, what am I saying? Their children are having children, or they're pregnant. New moon, transformation, death, and rebirth. Some it completely changes our lives. This is a big, shocking pivot, turnaround, change. Probably could be for many pregnancy that does that. A creative project. This is the house of something coming out of nothing. That's why doing classes in entrepreneurial are also that fifth house. All righty. That is a nice new moon. This activates your luxuries, by the way. All right. So now we're going to go into Leo. And so Leo, this new moon is in your fourth house, so there is a death and rebirth in your family life. So there's an old family going away or an old life that you had, like if you've been living with your children, now they all move out and you're an empty nester kind of an energy, but it does liberate you. As sad as and empty as that kind of a thing may feel, you are now liberated to explore your own self, your own hidden deep desires and what you call, you're liberated to explore your dharma and not sort of tethered by obligations. This is a transformative experience where you're transforming your energy from family to you or from a toxic situation or relationship that tethers you in home that isn't right. So it's a liberating experience around home and family. You could end a relationship, you're liberated, free. Um, Uranus in your 10th house, there's a sudden shift and change in your career and your status. Maybe that's why it looks like it could be a breakup. But again, this does send you to a more divine partnership, a more in alignment connection, if that's what's happening here. Or you suddenly have to move because sudden surprise in your 10th house, Uranus in retrograde there in Taurus is trying to restabilize something around your finances for your 10th house. So you suddenly have to up and leave and move and a new beginning in a career. And now again, Mars is in your fifth house in Sagittarius, and it's a very sort of your dharma, your true calling, what fills your cup. So maybe some inspiring new project opens up a more creative path for you, opens up. Leos love to be creative. Or I know Leos that are teachers, so they suddenly develop a new creative program they want to teach. They want to start becoming more creative leaders in their schools. I have a friend who's Leo, and she runs a school for children, obviously. But I mean, it's not an adult school. Um, so yeah, that's Leo. I'll try to kind of move this along. So a new beginning for you in a family or living situation where you sadly do have to release an old living situation. Now, again, you could become a grandmother or a mother because Jupiter is trining this in Cancer. So there's that part of it too. Your family dynamic, your family outline changes in some way. It changes shape in a sudden, surprising way. All right, Virgo, this is happening for you guys in your third house. Mercury there, sudden, surprising truths coming out, revelations, secrets. Ninth house, Uranus, stabilizes your life though. With Uranus is there at the end degree. It's restabilizing, it's giving us another whack at really stabilizing our finances, going back and doing something from the past that we really need to be doing that we're not doing that's going to liberate us. And it has something to do with being out in the public more and your social presence on media. Now, Scorpio being there in your Mercury retrograde, communication from somebody from the past. Now, if you're in your true already in your relationship, that's committed. Something is very much changing in your life or the life of your partner because you have Saturn there. So something is very much maturing and you are ending old karmic cycles in relationships, codependency types of things. Now, with this new moon in your third house, you're having a total and utter mental transformation and belief system around relationships, around what's true in a relationship. But again, this new moon here is going to bring you some deep hidden truths about relationships. And again, this is going to bless you onto your Dharma because your North Node is in your seventh house, which means your destiny is now being realigned in through relationships, through partnerships, through your true divine mate, and putting you and liberating you. This information liberates you onto your dharmic path with your true counterpart. Um, Either you've only just met them or you're reconciling. With a Mercury retrograde, you're reconciling. If you're already with your partner, you're reconciling an idea, an old media project that you want to go back to. Um, so yeah, that's Scorpio, beautiful new moon. But again, sudden surprising shocks and um, liberating you to follow so liberating you to be in your true spiritual connection relationship. All right, Libra, Libra, Libra. This Scorpio in your second house, which is great because that's your finances. So sudden, surprising, out of the blue financial crisis, upset. Again, you can always throw that in the mix just in case. It can be good or bad depending on how it's hitting your chart. But again, if it's bad, it is for the highest good because Uranus wants to liberate you here and put you on a more financial stability. So perhaps a sudden surprising letter comes in or a bill comes in or a lien or something kind of negative comes in that's really, upsetting or shocking, triggers your fears of financial security, but somehow this breaks you free. I've seen these kinds of transits before. Somehow then you then qualify for some sort of, at the same time, a new beginning in your finances that motivates you to take action that stabilizes your finances for the long term. You secure this, shall we say, leakage, if you would call it as such. And now you're able to really make some strong new long-term financial improvements and stability. Could be through joint resources because Scorpio is Venus is there, a connection from the past coming in where you share your resources that really, really offsets your finances into a strong trajectory. And I want to stop saying the word really so much. All right, so nice new moon for Libra rising. Mars rules your third house, so there's a good chance this involves media, selling something, communication, an idea, a project from the past involving people from the past. But again, these are skills you possess. It's your second house. It can involve possessions, valuable like land, property, so that you can make an investment around or sell or build on, but this is around stabilizing your long-term finances with that Uranus in the eighth house. All right, through shaking it up, just so you know. So, Scorpio, all right, this is in your first house. So, sudden surprising knowledge, information in a relationship with Uranus there, most likely with that beautiful divine kite. Where grounding a divine spiritual relationship is coming into your material realm, shock and out of the blue, you may meet them, or you may end a relationship out of the blue if this is a karmic situation, sets you free. You wanted to be out anyway, you're liberated. And now you're ready for a more spiritual, soul connected alignment. And your old version of you is dying. A new version of you is reborn. You're more in your power. You're spiritually liberated. You might just meet somebody all of a sudden. A new friendships coming in with that Saturn there that are going to last a nice long time. You're clearing karmic patterns in relationships and basically getting into relationships with people that should just be friends. Um, and so that's sort of a pattern with Uranus in your seventh house, really shaking your relationships up all the time with those. Not only did we have eclipses there, but Uranus is there. So, you're going through stabilizing your destiny through shaking up your relationships so that you find your stability, your true stable relationships. So you shake up your Scorpios are pretty relationship centric people. They like to be in relationships, and so do Taurus. So this was having you understand what was real and what is not, and what is not was going to give you drama and pain, and what is real is going to bring you light and relief and liberation. So you're finding your true person, and if you're still on that path, this new moon can bring in a partnership that brings you're in your confidence, you've had a death and rebirth, you're feeling in your power here. And Mars being in Sagittarius, your ruling planet, so you're feeling very inspired right now. So these are new beginnings that can involve partnerships, collaboratives, and a new version of you basically being born. It's a rebirth of you all around. All right, Sagittarius, you've got Mars in your first house, so you're feeling pretty charged up and energized and inspired, ready to go, ready to do things, but your ruling planet is in retrograde, which does cause a lot of, shall we say, introspective, slowing energy. Not, a lot is blocked for Saggies, but just be patient. That's not easy for Sagittarians. But this new moon brings in sudden, surprising, shocking information, perhaps around relationships or some work related hard work you've been doing to try to stabilize your finances in the last 8 years is now sudden good news comes in, sudden shock that does perhaps bring travel, or if you're a musician, I know a lot of Saggies are a festival invitation, a new beginning in something 12th house, which is travel, um, long distance travel. It could be in healing, ayahuasca healing through music or music. Sort of medicine because your dharma is over your fourth house. So it's like, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of festivals. That's 12th house. It's the higher dimension. It's a total new beginning for it's sort of like a death and rebirth of your whole psyche, your whole self. You've transformed through all these energies. With Jupiter in retrograde and Pisces, Saturn trining all of these planets in your 12th. This is a spiritual liberation trine. So you're going through a big spiritual liberation where you're basically believing more in yourself. And so these are new beginnings where you now believe in yourself and your gifts and the dharma that you're on. You see it and you're now ready to initiate this. And it can involve travel or spiritual healing, retreats, yoga, uh, music. If you're creative, it could be musical festivals, such things. So now let's jump into Capricorn. Capricorn, this is an intense new moon in your 11th house. So sudden surprise and shock information or knowledge from a friend, someone that you know that you are actually most likely someone that from the past suddenly shows up out of the blue that your stable finances are dependent on this connection or these connections, and it is through social media. Suddenly, you perhaps become very well known on this new moon. Sudden, shocking, surprisingly, you shoot up in your social media platforms, or you just become more well known in your environment, in your area. I know a Capricorn who moved and nobody knows them, and suddenly you might meet some people in this new moon that you now become suddenly known. You can gain a lot of clients with a new moon in the 11th house. Sudden new collaboratives and people coming in that you meet that really bring you, oh God, there I go with that word really again, that bring you financial stability, that bring you connections, that bring you a long-term finances stabilizing that felt very rocky since the last 8 years, since Uranus has been in Taurus in your fifth house. Finances haven't felt stable. Well, this new moon is a result of the stability that was there that you haven't seen yet. All right. And also, you could meet a romantic person. Venus is in there again, intense, soul connected, communication, Saturn in your third. Could be um, a new work, because that's a work house, some sort of job related. And also, this is a Saturn house, so there could be more work coming in. Very, very good new moon for you, Capricorn. Very good new moon. but also relationship here coming in from the past that could very well be a divine counterpart with Jupiter in your seventh in retrograde from the past. Somebody from the past that is your true divine mate, or if you're already in that relationship, you come into joint soul contract. Or it could also be just a fated soul contracted work partnership. Clients sometimes are soul contracted. All right, so now we're going to move into Aquarius, moving along here. Aquarius have this full moon in your 10th house, so beautiful sun shock and surprise where you have to up and go and move because of your work, or you have to leave family or shift your life in some sudden way because of career, new beginning, or suddenly you end your job. You could have a crisis, like you suddenly go. So I know somebody who this could happen to. They think they're on a job and they're doing something, and you discover something in that job and you don't like it because of Mercury retrograde, and you're like, I gotta quit. I gotta get out of here. I'm out of alignment in this situation. And then you do align more with the living place, and it could be retrograde, so it's going back to the past. So you kind of know your stability and security is dependent on that fourth house. So that could be where you suddenly decide you have to leave a job because of home is much more important. There's a big shift between home and family as some sort of information comes out. Now, this does, of course, align you because Venus is trining the nodes where the eclipses were. So this really aligns you with your true relationship. This could be a relationship out of the blue comes in, and you get onto a soul contract. You quit your job and go move with them. And then your finances are much more stabilized because of that, or vice versa. You quit your job, they've come and moved with you, and you can quit this job that you're in that you feel like a slave, and now you have a new beginning in some other situation that you're going to do because Jupiter is in your sixth house, and Jupiter's blessing this liberates you. So whatever information comes in liberates you from a job you don't like to a way of earning money and being of service in a job that you do like, giving you much better recognition. You could suddenly become famous and known and recognized through social media platform or social or from just interacting in the community. Last but not least, our lovely Pisces. We have this full new moon in your ninth house, Mercury retrograde. Venus there, if you're not already in a relationship with someone, this could be a relationship from your past. And if you're, it could be a later in life relationship comes in, communication from your past with Venus there, trining the nodes in your first house. This does put you on your true dharmic path. You really, you are aligning now with what is in your soul contract. Jupiter in your fifth with a relationship person or a creative venture that is your dharma right now. It can be to have a child, and that might be what happens as well with Jupiter there in Cancer. You could very well be getting pregnant, you or your mate. And we're seeing this beautiful grand water trine in your dharma houses, liberating you onto your true path with Mars ruling this new moon in your 10th house. You are becoming very go-getter in your career. You have a lot of faith in this new direction. It is related to your career and dharma. Um, you're becoming much more responsible here with Saturn there. You've learned a lot, really. I've tried to stop using really. You've learned a lot with Saturn in retrograde in your first. It's only there now for a little bit longer. Then it's going to move in February back into Aries, where you're, shall we say, you're upgrading hard work on who you are and becoming a better person, more disciplined, more reliable, is becoming more entrenched into who you are. When Saturn moves into your second in February 14th, your new career and new way of earning income that is going to stabilize you for the next 29 years is launched. But this new moon in Scorpio is a lucky new moon for you, where you end an old belief, end an old perception about life, and you become emboldened with that Mars in your 10th house to take some strong, in faith, new beginnings around travel. Your can be creative ventures because of that fifth house, and your career, romantic and creative projects and people from the past coming in that are part of your dharma, opening the doors. When we walk in faith, destiny, when we walk in faith, destiny opens the door you never imagined. When we walk in faith, destiny opens doors we never imagined. All right. Have a wonderful new moon, everyone. Stay safe with that Uranus opposition because it's out of the blue things that can bring sudden need for response and actions. So it's good to stay calm and not overreactive. Okay? So that's why we want to stay calm and detached during Uranian transits. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful new moon. Namaste.